Oh, hi there, and welcome back to Minecraft. We're here in the Hollow Mountain 1.21 solo survival world, and this is episode 9. In this video, we're going to tackle some of the odd jobs and unfinished projects we've been putting off for forever. I've made a list and there are currently 25 outstanding items I'd like to address. Let's see how many we can do in this video. You saw in the intro that I've been collecting glowstone and shroom lights from the nether. One of the things on the list is to light up the cave a bit better. So I wanted to collect as many different types of lights as possible. Let's use the last of our bones to make some bone meal so that we can grow a few glowberries. We already have torches and lanterns made up, and if we head over to the pumpkin farm, we can craft some jack-o'-lanterns. And of course, that storage is almost full, so we need to deal with that real quick. This is exactly why we have so many unfinished tasks. It's alright though, because this is actually on the list. We need to add an auto crafter to turn the melon slices into melons and save a huge amount of storage space. So to make the crafter, we need iron, redstone, a crafting table and a dropper, just like this. We're going to need to remove the current chest to make room for the redstone. That means emptying all the items. So we need to dig out some blocks near the hoppers and then add a redstone torch on the side of this block. A repeater facing toward the torch on this block, then redstone on these 3 blocks, and finally a comparator facing away from the hoppers. The redstone torch should be directly below the block that the comparator is sitting on, and the top hopper should be facing toward it. We have now made an item sorter. Next, we want to grab our crafter and place it facing up directly next to the bottom hopper, and the hopper should be facing into the crafter. Then a double chest on top of the crafter. This is where our melon blocks will end up. If we then go around the other side of the crafter, we can place down a comparator coming out of the crafter and put it in subtract mode. The front torch should be on. It's important that the comparator faces into a solid block. Redstone dust can then be placed next to the solid block, followed by a repeater next to the comparator, but facing into another solid block, like this. We can then make some space on the other side of the hoppers and place down a composter. We can fill that up with the leftover pumpkin seeds from making jack-o'-lanterns. We know it's full because it gets this texture. Then we want to place a comparator coming out of the composter and facing toward the first comparator. Almost done. To finish it all off, we need to place some filler blocks inside the hopper, which is above the bottom one. These can be any blocks, as long as the farm does not normally produce them. I'm going to use cobblestone, as the only things that this farm should produce on its own are melon slices and pumpkins. We also want to make sure that melon slices are in the first slot. This will mean that only melon slices can go to the hopper below. And of course we can't open the chest because there's a solid block above it. Now, we could remove this block above the chest and replace it with a half slab or a stair, but I think I'm going to change the orientation of the crafter so that the chest can now go beside the item sorter. And that's all working now. Excellent. So all we need to do now is filter all the melon slices through it, and we are done. We now have pumpkins in the top chest and melons in the bottom one. We can then just cover up the redstone a bit to prevent accidental breakages, and we are done. Now I want to do the same thing but slightly different with the iron farm. So we need to switch it off first, as we don't want any golems spawning in the wrong place. Then we can dig out some space underneath the farm and place some redstone. Now this one took me a lot longer than it should have done, and I had to start over a few times. Let me just show you the finished product. We can turn the farm back on now. Golems are spawning on the platform still, so that's a good sign. Okay, so I know this looks like a bit of a jumbled mess, but essentially we have 4 separate redstone contraptions working down here. I've used different coloured wool to make it easier to see what goes where. Items come from the farm into this double chest, which as you can see is empty. Beneath that are 2 hoppers that go off in different directions and have item sorters attached, just like we did at the melon farm. The orange line is an item sorter for iron ingots, and the yellow line is an item sorter for poppies. The red line is an auto crafter which turns iron ingots into iron blocks, and again it works the same way as we did with the melons. It's just laid out slightly differently so that we can fit the poppies in. The double chest here is the output for iron blocks, and round here the poppies are sent into this composter, which turns them into bone meal, and then the double chest at the bottom is the output for that. Let me show you in action. If we place a bunch of iron ingots and poppies into the chest, it should start sorting them automatically for us. We can already hear the composter kicking in, and bone meal is slowly starting to fill up this chest. And if you look here, you can see the crafter is also filling up, making the iron blocks. That's cool. Another couple of things ticked off the list. We still need to do the cave lights, but I've just seen something else while we're here. Another item on the list is to improve this tunnel, so let's quickly speed through that. Okay. So, I got a bit carried away. This corridor and the kill chamber looks a lot better now. I think so anyway. I've also continued the theme up the stairs and dug out another corridor leading toward the altered crop farms. That was on the list too, so it's alright. I have more plans for this area later on, but we need to get back to the odd jobs. Shall we actually light the cave now? Okay, I think I'm quite happy with that. It certainly looks a lot better than before. We've used a few different techniques for lighting the cave up. The more obvious ones are the lanterns in the wheat field and the glow berries hanging from the cave ceiling. We've also hidden jack-o'-lanterns in the middle of the cherry blossom leaves, and shroom lights are hidden behind the leaves in the ceiling and the walls to produce a really nice warm light. Do you like your new view, Emmerich? Now, obviously the cave is huge, so we're barely scratching the surface of this, but I figure if we get some basic principles in place, then we can incorporate them in future builds as we spread around the cave. It should make things a lot easier moving forward. Got to say, I really like how nice the wheat fields look. I'll definitely be spreading that field around the villager breeder in the future, but we're going to wait until we're finished breeding the villagers first, as we need to get rid of all the rails. Next up, I want to work on connecting the trading village to the farming district. There are two completely different paths to use, and we need to try and blend them together. Well, that was fairly straightforward. It's tasks like that which makes me think, I should have done that weeks ago. Oh well, it's done now. Next job, storage. As it stands, we have about 6 different piles of chests around the Hollow Mountain, and it's getting increasingly difficult to find what I'm looking for. I want to dig out some space and build a little storage room. I'm not planning for anything technical, no auto sorters or anything like that, just a place where all the chests can be in one place. My original idea was to make a huge storage room where every single item from every farm would automatically feed into chests. I'm just not sure that's going to be possible with this build, not with the scale involved. We've only worked on the tiny corner of the cave, and later down the line, when we start to spread out more, files won't all be loaded at the same time, and items may well despawn while travelling to the storage hub. That's why I now plan to have a small storage area at each farm, and then a bulk storage area for other items. There's room for expansion if needed, or it could be that we add another similar sized storage area on the other side of the cave somewhere when we're working over there. To be fair though, by the time we reach that, we would have already done the end, we've killed the dragon, we've got the shulker boxes, so there might not be as much need for another local storage area. We'll see. And that's done. I don't know about you, but I really like the look of this. The shroom lights look great in the ceiling, and the different wood types makes the room feel warm and inviting. And we're going to need to get some item frames for labelling the chests, so we'll either make a cow crusher at a later date, or bring in some cartographer villagers. Or both. Probably both, to be fair. I am absolutely loving the open space in the middle and the high ceilings. I feel like this could be the start of a new home. The trading village is for supplies, but we won't really be living there long term, and aside from the starter base we made in episode 1, we haven't really worked on creating an area for us to call home. Not yet. And now all the chests have gone from the village, we can start looking at repurposing some of the spaces that have been overlooked. Let's do this! Okay, so that's a few more things ticked off the list. I think the area as a whole is really starting to take shape. Everything feels connected now. We'll make sure to try and do these little tasks as and when we add a new build moving forward. I'm really liking this wild garden over here. Was originally considering adding another building there early in the series, but decided against it. There's nothing wrong with open space, as long as there's purpose. There's this cute little archway here, where the villagers could have like a ceremony or just take a walk in the gardens and enjoy the view. I like it. And of course, many of the items on the list were small, such as hiding lighting under carpets inside the houses, or under moss carpets outside, or adding leaves and planters on the side of the buildings. But when combined together, it really starts to bring the village to life. And once we've got all the working villagers in place, I was thinking of coming back and releasing some free range ones. That's going to be a little ways down the line though. So we didn't quite get around to completing all the tasks on the list, but certainly made a good dent on them. Unfortunately though, we've just about run out of time for this video, but if you're still watching at this point, thank you so much for your support. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Anyway, I'll leave you now with some closing cinematics of the build so far, and see you next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.